All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar. As many of you know, it is called Before You Invest in AI, 3 Shifts the Top Service Businesses Are Making. We're really excited to have you guys here today. We've got some great speakers. I'm really excited to be here chatting with them online with all of you. We definitely want this to be an interactive experience. We want to hear your thoughts, your questions. We want you interacting with each other. We want this to be we want you to get the most value out of it. And we're just appreciative that you're taking the time to hang out with us today. So thank you for being here. Again, this is the Before You Invest in AI webinar, and I know we already have some people here. Really excited to see you here. I'm going to have you, if you don't already see it, there is a little chat window or a chat button. Would love to see you type into the chat what your name, and if you feel like it, put in your role, what company you're from. It just helps us to understand who we're talking to. And most importantly, what do you want to get out of this webinar? You've seen the description, you've registered for it, but if you have any particular needs or things like that, that will just help us to kind of cater the conversation accordingly. I'm going to just quickly run through here. There's a few people. Madison, really excited to have you here. I see there's another Kristen on the call. Kristen, great name. I see you spelled it correctly. Pamela, Brandon, Savannah, Bruce, Sarah, I see you chatted in there. So keep typing in your name, where you're from, what you're looking to get out of this. What is your role? Are you an appointment setter? Are you a marketing director? Are you doing dispatch? Are you a sales manager? Are you an owner, operator? We love to kind of get a sense of that. So, all right, we have a great webinar lined up for you today. I'm going to take a minute to introduce our speakers. And actually, I think I'll start. I'll go last. I want to give our speakers a chance to kind of introduce themselves first. So, Mia, why don't we start with you? I'm going to skip to your slide. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about Powerhouse Consulting Group.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I am so happy to be here. And before I dive into who I am and who Powerhouse is, I'm going to apologize for the mess behind me. I'm actually moving tomorrow. I'm moving out of my apartment, so a lot going on. But I'm so happy to be here. Powerhouse Consulting Group is the elite technology consulting firm for the trades. If you don't know who we are, we specialize in ServiceTitan consultative services. So I know that many of you use ServiceTitan, and it is an incredible platform. But with that, it is also very difficult to use. And it's difficult to keep up with all of the updates that come out that are supposed to really help your business, but they're only going to help your business if you know how to use them. So we empower you guys by being your trusted partner and consultant. All of our consultants come from the skilled trades. I come from the skilled trades. I used to work at a large plumbing franchisor where I learned a lot about ServiceTitan and just this industry, and I fell in love with it. And on top of that, we also do tech stack consulting. So my division is analyzing the tools that you currently use and understanding your business needs, what's going well, what do you need help with, and curating a tech stack that's going to actually drive growth and work for you. So that's a little bit about us. I have been in the trades for a few years, and I have grown and learned so much. It's awesome, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
Really excited to have you here, Mia, and don't envy you for the moving that you're doing. Moving is just
oh, it's like the worst thing ever. It's going to be over so soon.
Yep. Well, where are you moving? Like somewhere nearby or across state, or where are you headed?
Yes. So I've lived in Philadelphia for the past 7 or 8 years, and I'm moving to New York City tomorrow. So
Nice.
still a big city girl, but even bigger city.
That's awesome. All right. Well, speaking of ServiceTitan, Sarah, I'm going to kick it over to you. Tell us about you. Tell us about ServiceTitan. I know Sarah has done a lot of speaking. You may already know her. She has a podcast. So tell us.
Yeah, so I'm Sarah Gerardo. I come from the trades. I've been working in and with the trades for over 11 years now, and marketing for over 20. ServiceTitan is the all-in-one software solution built and powered for the trades by the trades to really help grow your business and streamline your operations. It is a very awesome, hefty tool. And we're excited to have great partners in our marketplace that can help teach and really guide our customers to grow their business efficiently. It's incredibly exciting to just have this opportunity as we are entering the AI era, and have open discussions about what do you do next? What does this look like for you in the trades? And really just shifting our mind into this evolution that is right before us, and how we can all win together. So super excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Sarah. I know you also have like quite a few speaking engagements lined up over the next couple of weeks. Where are you going to be at?
Yeah, so next week I'm going to be at Google speaking with Scorpion there. And then we are doing a Marketing Pro Roadshow where we're on site helping as many customers as we can, really learning from them and growing with them, showing them some of our new products, and really just, we're out there on the road just to hear feedback and to learn and grow with the trades.
Love it. Love it. I'm seeing a lot of great comments here. Before I get to Hatch and who I am, we've got some fractional CMOs, we've got CEOs, general managers, marketing operations coordinator. Let's see who else. So Ashley says that Sarah is the greatest of all time, the GOAT. Brandon concurs with that. So yeah, I'm really excited to have you guys on today. Okay, so Hatch, whoops. Let me go back 2 slides. So my name is Kristen. I am the Director of Corporate Marketing at Hatch. You may have seen me before on Hatch webinars. What is Hatch? I know we have a mix on this in this audience of people that may be using Hatch and may not be using Hatch. So Hatch is the AI CSR platform that scales your revenue engine. And for service businesses, as you know, that is your one-to-one customer communication across the entire journey. So whether they're coming in from, booking an appointment, filling out a form, or calling your business, to booking the appointment, following up on that, getting the work done, following up after that, reaching back out to them, that is your engine of revenue. And so how do we do that? How do we scale that? We scale that through AI agents, or we call them AI CSRs. They work across voice, SMS, and email. And they work alongside humans. We know that you cannot, there's no replacing of humans. Like AI works alongside humans. The way we like to talk about it is humans architect the journey, AI scales it, and then humans refine, they monitor, they handle the nuance. So it's definitely like a shared operating system there. The goal, higher conversion, right? So the best practices that it takes to achieve higher conversion are pretty labor intensive. So the idea is to achieve that higher conversion without driving up the cost of labor, time, tools, complexity. And then when you are talking about efficiency, of course, you don't want to sacrifice the customer experience. That customer satisfaction plays into that engine of revenue. It's the satisfaction that drives the conversion. So the idea is to increase conversion while also efficiency and satisfaction at the same time. And then finally, the packaging that up into repeatable playbooks, right? Like getting it to work once is one thing, but getting it to work at scale and across different parts of the customer journey, across different departments, is another thing. So the idea is getting that to be a scalable playbook. All right, quick another look into the chat. I'm going to go over our agenda. It's super simple, and we're going to kind of just let this conversation flow. But for those of you who are in the chat, I would love to hear, I do see people sharing where they're from, what they're, what they do, but what are some of the goals that you would like to get out of this webinar today? What questions do you have? And we are going to have a Q&A section, but we want this to be really interactive. So I'd love to hear from you. What's top of mind? What do you want to get out of this webinar? And then I'm going to jump over to this agenda slide. So I'm going to set the stage a little bit here. We all know every year it's the same goal, right? Like, how do we increase revenue? How do we do that without driving up costs? How do we, marketing costs, lead costs, they drive up every year. I mean, that's just a no-brainer for all of us. But we all know, as Sarah mentioned earlier, that AI is just changing that equation, right? Like, you can increase your work capacity. You can analyze data sets faster. I mean, it has superpowers, but how do you actually utilize that, right? How are the best teams using AI? What ways are they using AI? What is the foundation they need to have in place to get that AI to actually drive returns and not just be another tool to manage or another layer of complexity. So that's kind of what we want to cover today. So this theme is like getting more out of what you have. AI allows you to do that, but how do you set that foundation? So as we've learned, each of us have kind of like a different angle to bring to the table based on what we offer in our own background. So Mia is going to cover a lot about getting more out of your existing software. I'm going to talk about getting more out of your, building capacity out of your existing team. Obviously using AI to do that, but what do you need to have in place in order to get that? And then Sarah, of course, is going to dive into using your data as like an operating system, not just like an information system, but an actual operating system. And of course, as you can imagine, these angles kind of weave in and out of each other. So we really want this to be a discussion. We're going to share what's top of mind for us, what we are seeing with some of our top clients, some of the challenges, but we're going to open up for discussion throughout the experience here. So let's quickly take a look at the chat here. So George wants to know, how is best in class leveraging Hatch? We'll get to that, George, for sure. The most proven applications of Hatch. Alexis wants to learn more about AI tools and apps available in the market to improve customer experience. Love that. So yeah, we are going to dive into all of this. And again, continue to use the chat as a place to share your thoughts, your questions, even interact with one another. I think there's actually there's two windows. There's a chat window and a Q&A window. Feel free to, I think the questions automatically move into Q&A. Anyway, I'm going to stop thinking out loud here. I'm going to jump over to you. I'm going to take it off of slides. Let me make sure I know how to do that. Bear with me as I figure this out. Okay, let's go with this for now. Wait. Okay, I'm gonna stick with this for now. All right, Mia, I'm going to kick it over to you. What are you seeing? How are people, what are some of the challenges people come across with, having too much technology to deal with? How can people get more out of their existing technology?
Oh my goodness. This is my favorite thing to talk about. I absolutely geek out on it, nerd out about it. It wasn't on my Pinterest board growing up. It wasn't every little girl's dream to really want to be a tech consultant for the home services industry, but I am so obsessed with it. And ever since I came into the industry, I'm not an industry veteran because I'm still pretty young, but I've been in the industry since graduating college. And even over like the past 4 years or so that I have been doing this, I have seen such a tremendous boom in the rise of technologies. And I think that this industry took a little time for there to be this big AI, this big technology boom. When I came in, it was all ServiceTitan, 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 ServiceTitan. And then I noticed when I would go to, conferences like Pantheon, PHCC, you walk and you see all the vendors, and each year it's like there's more and more and more, and there are more like people who do the same thing, people who do something entirely new. I can't even imagine what it would feel like as a business owner or a GM walking onto one of these like trade floor vendor rooms and seeing all these options of things that are proven to help my business that sound so amazing. We like to call it shiny object syndrome. If it were me, I would talk to everybody. I would book demos with every single company that there is. And then I would probably go home and I would make like everybody I work with implement it. And I'd be like, this is going to be amazing. And then I would be totally broke. So what my philosophy has been and what our mission has been is to work with contractors to not have shiny object syndrome, to come to us who really like knows how to leverage what you have and then decide on tools to layer on top. Because there is a such thing as right tech, right time. Like there is. And maybe someday you'll be able to use that shiny new tool, but not right now. Maybe right now what you need to do is to focus on what you have currently. And I'd say 90% of people, that's where they're at. And that all starts with the foundation, which is your field service management platform. There is a statistic out there that says the average contractor on ServiceTitan only uses about 30% of ServiceTitan. And each year, I'm sure that decreases a little bit because not everybody's paying attention to the release notes. Not everybody has a champion internally who's like, hey, look, like there's this new feature, like Benchmark Plus, let's implement it, let's use it. So then you're left just underutilizing it and ultimately donating to ServiceTitan. We know it's very expensive and they don't need any donations.
Totally.
But the first thing I want to ask is all of you guys, if you're in ServiceTitan and you go into your settings under API applications, how many tools do you have connected to ServiceTitan? I want to see that in the chat.
I thought it was funny, Mia, when you said shiny object syndrome, because then I acronym things in my brain right away. So I was like, oh, SOS. Oh, SOS. Too many tools.
I'm gonna use that. Christina and marketing, Christina, you heard that? That was good.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just the shiny object syndrome. I think it's the intentional lack of focus, to be honest, because they are so busy working in their business. And it's like they don't know where to focus. And if this does look like a solution that would solve their problem that they see or may not see, like that's where the chase becomes. And when you chase something, you will always be chasing. So I think that's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like even learning a new tool or feature, like I'm doing that myself. And it's like, okay, I know that I need to slow down in order to speed up. But like, I don't have time to slow down and learn this. It's a lot to kind of navigate.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah. And time is money, right?
Yep. 100%. Me, I'm seeing a lot of responses in here. There are people that have 2, 10, 5, 4, lots of tools integrated.
I'm glad I haven't seen 10 in the chat right now. Pam, I know I work with so many contractors too who have 10 plus tools. It's like some contractors you talk to, I mean, okay, like, whenever you go and you look at your bank statement monthly and you notice that you have forgotten to cancel subscriptions and you're paying for like Netflix and Peacock and, and literally everything, and you just have them all, I bet you some of you guys with like more integrations than others, like there might be some you're still paying for monthly and you don't even use. So, and there might be some that really do the same thing and you just didn't know. And so now it's just because it's the way you've always done it. We always hear that. Why do you do this? And it's like, oh, well, we just have always done it that way. Well, do you think that maybe you could audit what you're doing and see what you could actually do? Maybe just using ServiceTitan, just using Hatch. So I urge, all of you guys that have answered, do you know how much you're spending on all of these softwares? Do you know what percentage of your revenue you're spending on these?
Good question.
Mm-hmm. And I love that Pam said that even the tools that aren't integrated, right, that's a fragmentation tax as well. So, yeah.
Exactly. Love that term, tax. And then like switching back and forth, it's not just like, oh, we have a lot of tools to manage. It's like even throughout the day, switching from one tab to the next. I mean, we even for Hatch, which is one tool, we also have tools that like your tools that you have integrated with ServiceTitan also integrate with other tools. And then you're like switching back between interfaces. And then if you have an issue, you're switching to different account managers and communication streams there.
Yeah,
the tabs are real.
Yes. And if it's not integrated with ServiceTitan, your data is totally fragmented.
Yep.
I would argue you don't really want to work with any company that can't integrate with your CRM, with your FSM. We don't want to have to do that. We don't want to have to then involve like another third party to get all of your data, make sure it's clean. You want one source of truth, and your source of truth should ultimately be ServiceTitan. But I want to give you guys a tangible next step. And then that's a really great, George, that's a great question for Kristen. The answer is absolutely, like those two work best in tandem. But everyone who has these tools on ServiceTitan, what I want you to do is on a piece of paper, write down what they are and go pull your team, find out exactly what you're using them for, every single thing. And I bet you're going to find multiple redundancies. And that's going to be your first step into knowing where your waste is. and it'll be the first step to condensing some systems or maybe changing what you do for these systems, right? We don't want to have like duplicative spend. We don't want to have multiple tools that do the exact same thing, because that's an absolute waste of money. So every single one, I urge you to write down what you do and then what you're using it for and process map it out. Easy exercise, and it can be done, right now, completely free of charge.
Yeah, and to your point, Mia, I mean, you don't want tools that are duplicating like the value. Of course, there's going to be some overlap, and like George has a great question here. Do you still need Hatch and Marketing Pro? The answer is yes. And I'd love for Sarah to take a minute to share a little bit about Marketing Pro, and then I can share a little bit about Hatch. But the goal is to reduce that redundancy as much as possible. But it's good to have some spheres of overlap because you do want your tools kind of working together.
Yeah. So with Marketing Pro, it's obviously attached to your data, right? And with AI, your data is the moat. And so think of the ServiceTitan, your unique data sets, as the operational layer. And so when you do have other connections in, those data sets, dependent on their partnership, they have access to. And they can create tools with that can help make your business even more automated and efficient. Now, Marketing Pro has a lot of channels inside of there. And if you don't have a marketing team, it can be difficult, which is why we produce Atlas, which is the AI agent built inside that will surface these opportunities to you. And then with 2 clicks, you can take action, because we know that marketing is hard. We know that there are great vendor partners out there that can help us really make marketing easier and streamline our technology stack, because we do get convoluted with all of these technologies. And is it that one is better than the other? It's that the connected system is a connected system. And, really sometimes looking at marketing, you look at a budget and you budget to zero, right? And if the opportunity tax and fragmentation tax is more than what you're wanting it to be, because it hits the bottom line, time hits the bottom line, labor hits the bottom line, inefficiencies hit the bottom line, right? And so you really have to understand that you can have great marketing, you can have great tools, but operationally, if the data is showing you something different in the conversions, then that's where the money wasted really comes in. And so you have to go backwards and forwards when it comes to looking at the cost of products.
Yeah, 100%. And I would say that it depends on, there's questions on how do they complement one another. It really depends on what you're looking to get out of your tools. And like Sarah mentioned, there's a benefit to having everything in one ecosystem. If Marketing Pro is pulling from data sets throughout ServiceTitan, that's great. Hatch, of course, integrates with ServiceTitan. But if you look at the 2 products, Marketing Pro can also expand out to your ads and your ad spend. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on some of this, Sarah, but there's a little bit more breadth. There's like email, there's like the HTML emails and things like that. There's even some direct mailing capabilities. So there's like a different set of features that come with Marketing Pro, and there's an overlap in the conversational aspect. And then Hatch takes a different approach in the conversational aspect, some of the appointment booking. It just goes like deeper into one set. And so it just depends on what you're looking for, where, if you want like a more holistic tool, or if you want, some of that more like in-depth conversational.
Yeah, Marketing Pro has a lot, right? It has email, direct mail for acquisition, direct mail for retention. It has ads, meta integration, speed to lead. It has just reputation. There's a lot there, right? And normally, when you look at that from that's a marketing team that would run these channels, right? It's not just one person. You would have your call center work on your reputation with a happiness cop, and they would follow up and manage that for you. You'd have a speed to lead team in there for your ads and for, the response to the conversions of Scheduling Pro and all of these. Like marketing is a lot, and I really want people to understand that when you buy software, the idea is to, one, get a great partner to help you, because if you don't have 8 people, working 8 different products, then you have to utilize AI, or you have to have a really great partner that says, okay, here's the basics, right? And when it came to Marketing Pro, we were like, we saw that the adoption was having some complications. And so that's why my team and I worked to create Autopilot. And that is basically, if you think about it, it's the campaigns that are in there that you're leaving money on the table and that has operational inefficiencies and leaks throughout your pipeline. So if you just got started with one thing today, Atlas would take you, our AI assistant would take you to those campaigns to get you started, because they have the most money, because they create a customer journey that is remarkable and not expected in the trades. And I think that's what all of our softwares are aiming to do, is to create that remarkable customer journey for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And George just had a question. He's trialing Hatch now. They have been using Marketing Pro, and he wants to ensure that he's leveraging both of them effectively. Kristen, I think this would be like awesome for you to talk about something that Hatch does that Marketing Pro doesn't, and why the integration, is really important. Like, what's something Hatch does to really amplify the customer experience, even for those who are also using Marketing Pro?
Yeah, I think one way to look at it is talking about the one-to-one versus the one-to-many. And Hatch and Marketing Pro both do both. But and Sarah, you can also chime in on this. But Sarah has also alluded to some of the ads and the campaigns, and we do campaigns too. But I think one area where Hatch specializes in is that one-to-one communication, where you can create campaigns, and then your AI agent is kind of specialized in managing the response. You can do a one-to-many approach, or you can do it's many messages but on a one-to-one basis. And then Hatch is designed for managing those responses. There's columns and there's cards. It's essentially a communication platform. So I think that's one area where they complement each other, because that's the one-to-one and the one-to-many approach.
Awesome. And so really, guys, I just want to stress documenting the tools you use in conducting an audit yourself to try and find any discrepancies or any, anything that you're doing multiple times over with different tools, and then also the gaps. So then what can you actually be leveraging now that you have everything you use? What are you not using? But before you do that, and Sarah's going to get more into this, is you want to make sure that your data and ServiceTitan is actually all completely accurate. So I'm going to pass it over to Kristen, talk a little bit about like the people of it, just hiring or like doing more with less people. So take it away.
Yeah. And thank you, Mia, for kind of covering the technology aspect of it. So when it comes to kind of building capacity with your team, obviously you want to talk about like getting more out of your team and doing that with AI. But again, building that foundation, and like, for this webinar, I just thought through like what do our most successful customers have in common? And I thought of kind of three. Well, the first two are like that foundation building. So number one is like your SOPs, right? And so this also plays into using the right tools and also utilizing ServiceTitan effectively, because if you don't have a clear picture of your SOPs, like it's going to be hard to know what you want to automate and how you want to automate it. So when you launch an AI agent, like you still have to onboard them the same way that you would onboard a human being. And there's a plus, like they may not need as much time to ramp. Like they still need, when you launch an AI agent, you still have to put it out in the wild and see how it does, and see, if it manages conversations a certain way, you need to make adjustments. But in order to really launch an effective AI agent that actually takes work off of your plate, you need to know exactly what you want it to do and how you want it to do it. So your SOPs, as you know, is like, how do you talk to customers? Like when you train a new employee coming on, like how do you talk to them? What's the tone? What is the series of questions that you go through to gather information? How do you address them at later points in the funnel? After the conversation, how do you disposition that? What's the admin work behind that? How do you label them? And then what's the next steps after that? So I would say like the first step is in really identifying your SOPs and having a source of truth for that. It's the same thing with like marketing. Like right now we use AI, like, SaaS B2B marketing, like with using AI, you have to really know the context to give it and the processes that you want it to help amplify for you. So, I would be curious. I know some of our customers have like Notion or they have like a Google Drive. I'm curious in the chat, like how many of you, do you have your SOPs documented? Do you have a source of truth? Is it fragmented? Is it in your head? I'm just curious to understand that. And I think while, we wait for those responses, I will say that one thing that may be helpful here is if you don't have them documented, here's another place where AI comes in handy. Just like your everyday AI, ChatGPT or Claude, you can dump your brain out. I do this all the time. Like use dictation, be like, here's what we do from start to finish. Let it dictate, maybe like pause a few times to make sure it's capturing, because there's nothing worse than like talking to AI for like 2 minutes straight and then having it being like, I didn't catch that.
I'm guilty.
Yes, guilty.
There are
Very guilty.
times where I'm like, you know what? I just talked to you for 5 minutes and you didn't catch that. I got to step away for a minute before I myself. Anyway, that is a great place to start because it's so good at synthesizing information and articulating it and ordering it, and it can save you the time from doing that. So yeah, I haven't seen anything come through about like whether your SOPs are documented, but Sarah or Mia, I was curious if you had any input on that.
I think that you said something so important is to use your voice, right? We're actually going to AI is conversational. And so everything is changing. The way we search is changing. The way that we move is changing. The way that we think, right? Our thoughts from here to here change. And so when you use your voice, you're allowing yourself to flowly think. And that is going to change the output of what AI will tell you. With messy data and messy systems, AI is going to not perform, and you're going to be like, AI is broken. AI is not broken. It's operationally, you have no systems in place and you have no processes in place, which means that the operations side has opportunity and needs to fix the leaks, right? And so creating those standard operating procedures, having those systems in place and the checks and balances throughout the entire customer journey, that's what matters most. And so I love to use our AI systems are connected. And like I said, connected systems connect systems. And so I can say, okay, well, here is one document that's saying this and another document that's saying this, and we need to merge them together to tell a better story and to create a system and process. Because as you scale, the data leakage will happen. And because as I just told you, there are two documents that could be merged together. Well, that is inefficiency just within itself, right? It makes the story fragmented. And so you can use AI to build your story better, to bring all the documents in place. You can also use tools like Notebook LM, which I love, mainly because I have a different learning modality than what they teach at school, right? I'm very kinesthetic, I'm very visual. And so Notebook LM allows me to have a podcast, which I love podcasts. If you know me, I have a podcast. I love to watch video because I'm visual, and like it brings out, for the kinesthetic and visual learner, it brings something that just makes us want to learn, right? And think about your technicians. Did they go to school, really enjoy school? Probably not. My son is the same way. He's very kinesthetic. And it's because we teach auditory. And so when we provide assets to our team that are different in the way that they learn, then we win as an organization. And so that's what I love Notebook LM. It's one of my favorite tools. And Google is really just making a lot of product for the education system. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. And like, AI, you're structuring information for the audience, right? So like whether it's telling your team how to do it or how your team can understand it or how AI can understand it, if you have it structured, then you can manipulate that structure for the right, receiving end. For sure.
How about you, Mia? What kind of SOPs, how do you like to create? You're big, like Powerhouse is big on this, and I love it because they have structure and like the way that they speak and the way that they train and just everything that they do. And I really enjoy that when I work with you guys.
Yeah, so SOPs are huge because if we implement a new process for you and you don't follow it, and nobody knows how to do it, that process isn't going to stick. And then you're going to go back to square one. And it's like you never even worked with us. So you just invested all of this time and money on technology consultants to come in and tailor your workflows and architect your system to the way that it needs to be. But then you don't have anything that's actually like reinforcing this. So we are huge on SOPs, and we've been doing them for quite some time. We like to include step-by-step walkthroughs, pictures as well, completely tailored to your business. And these don't have to be like long, multi-page things. It could be for the simplest process. Like, let's say just booking a recurring service event. A lot of people struggle with that in ServiceTitan because you don't book it the same way you book a job unless you have that configuration turned on, where anytime you select a certain job type, it forces you to book a recurring service. Little pro tip there. Contact your CSM. But it's different. So, right, like it's just little SOPs for small things, and you can house them all in a playbook where you hire someone new, boom, they can click and they can just go through it. And these are so essential for the AI tools and everything you have too. Yes, they can, operate kind of independently because a lot of these are, agentic, agent, AI based, but you still need an SOP on how to use this tool.
Yeah.
They're so important.
And SOPs provide accountability, right? And visibility. And those matter so much because each person has a story behind their role, right? So the marketer has a different story about their data sets and what they do versus a customer service rep versus a technician, installer, all of us, sales, all of us have different stories. And so when we have an SOP, we have a standard, like this is what we go back to. It's kind of like our core values. We hire and fire off of those, right? Did you follow the procedure? Did you do you see the following of the procedure in your numbers? And so the data leakage is, so say example, you have a sales process, and if you trust the process and follow the process, you'll see the conversion numbers increase. But if you don't, then you can see the data leakage inside of the technician or the salesperson's behavior and their numbers of conversion because they're not following the process. And so that's where it really comes into.
Ooh, and then on top of that, let's say you're not following a sales process, you don't have an SOP, but then you're like, oh my God, I want to implement Field Pro. That's what's going to fix this. No, that's going to make it all worse. And now you're just spending like so much more money annually, but you're not fixing the root cause of the problem.
Yep.
I think that they might not be able to see the root cause, right? And hear the root cause. So when you think about field prep, when you think about, let's start with the CSR. We'll always record the CSR, but what do we do with those transcripts? What is the responsibility of the business to learn from those transcripts? The same with Field Pro. We're now able to see what's going on inside the home, which we didn't have that visibility before. Now, you're right. It does produce a bunch of transcripts and coaching activities. The adoption and utilization is learning the coaching opportunities, listening to how you transact with the customer, understanding the customer's learning modality to speak better in those conversations. The opportunity is for the manager to say, okay, let's listen to this call together. Let's have a conversation. And does it help? Does it work? It does, because it shows you the propensity to buy as well. So it's not that, again, you have to use the tools that you purchase and really take time to learn them and say, oh, now I get it. This isn't just like a wildly like, let's put in some more words for you to work through. It's how do I leverage these to build a better business and build people, because we're in the people and experience business.
Yeah, like what SOP is this tool going to help with or replace? And if you don't know, then you need to go back and figure that out or not use the tool. There's some really good feedback in the chat here. Pam said it needs to be your SOP and not a generic one. I love that. That's where that dictation comes into play. If you're like, hey, create an SOP for me of this, no. Like ChatGPT is going to be like, I'll be so happy to help you. What a great question. Like it's going to make you feel good about asking that question. It's going to give you the most generic thing because it's pulled from thousands and millions of data sets across, like your SOP and what you want to get out of it, how you want the customer to feel at the end, how you want them to move through the customer journey. Chris, so many people fail with AI because they believe it's plug and play instead of treating it as an employee that you have to train constantly. These are really great points. And the last thing I'll say about it, because I want to give you some time, Sarah, to talk about your, the data side of things, is SOPs. It's important to have the SOP really structured and like as standardized as possible, because it does change when AI is in the mix. So for example, when a customer calls your business and a human picks up, like they talk a certain way and you have a script for your humans and you have a process for your humans. When a customer calls your business and an AI picks up, people still aren't fully versed on how to talk to AI. They think that they're like
they're yelling at it. They're like, what do you need?
They're like, appointment Tuesday. And it's like, no, you don't have to. You can, but humans are now talking differently to AI. And until they catch on, like you need to build that into your process. So it does get a little bit more complex, which is inevitable, but the cleaner you have your processes built out in the beginning, the easier it's going to be to kind of meld them to when AI is handling a situation versus when like humans are handling a situation. So yeah. So
I think there's routing in that too, right? Like I think everyone's like, oh, I would automatically have for me, if I started a business, I would have an AI answering service. Like that just makes sense because I know the expense of dirty data. And dirty data starts at the input, right? And so AI, and this kind of goes into the let's talk about track your work. So when I miss a piece of data, I think of it as, oh, I'm missing my average ticket. And if I don't track and have this piece of data, then how will AI reach them if that is where they want to be reached? So it's really thinking a little bit differently when it comes to the not only SOPs, but like what is the accountability in the SOPs?
Yep, exactly. And like, how are you measuring, like how are you quantifying success within those SOPs and like, and measuring out goals that you're trying to strive for with that?
Yeah. And Stephanie had a great question. She said, if we're building out our SOPs, where do you store them?
I've got a few suggestions for that. And I know Sarah and Mia, you probably do too. I mean, even in a basic sense, there are definitely some information management systems. I know there are people that use Notion. We actually use Notion. Some of our other customers use Notion. It's sort of like having a Google Drive. I think one of the biggest pros over Google Drive is like there's your side panel where you can like easily navigate to different files rather than having to like go into a folder. It kind of indexes itself. You can connect documents together. You can create databases. So it's a great place. But if you don't want to use a Notion subscription, like Google Drive is a great place as long as you have a really clear set of folders and where that information lives, who owns it, and who's in charge of updating it. And then, Sarah and Mia, if you have other suggestions too, I'd love to hear. You're probably a little bit more well-versed in this in terms of like how service businesses are storing their SOPs.
So I like to say, if you're using Google Workspace, you can check out Google Sites and kind of build your own intranet where each page can be kind of its own category and you can house your SOPs there. Immediately hooks up to Google Gemini. Same thing if you're using Microsoft to run your business, then you could do the same thing with SharePoint and then have Copilot, hook up to that and be able to spit out answers based on the information you have in that SharePoint or in that Google site. So that's what I would recommend to you if you are using one of those two platforms. Sarah, do you have any thoughts?
I would say the same thing. There are so many tools again out there, but if the workspace is where it's at and connecting it to your LLMs, because if you'll notice that the LLMs have connectors, right? And so they have Notion, they have Google, they have Gemini. With Google, the cool thing is that can be connected to your email, all of your Google Workspace, right? And so then you can create gems and add on to those with notebooks, with documents. And so then you can add it to a site and an AI studio and create, an LMS, a learning management system for your team, and grade them, hold them accountable, because that's really what SOPs are for, right? They're not just for us to write them so that we can show them to an imaginary person that's auditing our business. because it's us that is auditing the business. And so that's what I would say is just to have a structured way for everyone to have access to it that needs it. That's really the most important is, do they have access? Do they know it exists? Where is it? And did you train on it? Because you can write them all day long, but if you don't train and then repeat that process and behavior in all team meetings or just discussions, then again, you're not holding anyone accountable, including the person that created the SOP.
Yep.
Yeah. And I will say too, like once you create this kind of guidebook or with all the SOPs, you have to hold your team accountable. Let's say you have, a group Slack or you have a Google Chat, Teams, whatever, however your team communicates, and somebody asks a question that can be found in an SOP, direct them there. Get them in the habit of they can't just ask and get. I'm always just asking in Slack for something, and Pam, our lovely COO, who's the most organized woman I've ever met in my whole life, is always like, did you check the guidebook, Mia? And at the moment, I'm just like, are you kidding me, Pam? Really? And you know what? Now I check the guidebook every time. So I know she'll appreciate this. Really just make sure you're always bringing people back to that so that your team just gets in the habit of it. It's just part of your culture.
Yeah. And now sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
Go for it. You're probably going to say the exact same thing. Go for it, Kristen.
No, I'm curious about what you were going to say.
Oh, I was just going to say Slack has agents. And so you can build these into your workflow processes. So say someone has a question from your organization, an agent can follow up and answer that based on the knowledge that you had shared with that agent when you create it. And it's not hard to create these internal agents, or ChatGPT even has agents, which is what we created with custom GPTs. And there's Claude has agents. So many things have the agent experience that can help your employees get to the answer faster. So really lean in. That's where, even if it's providing insights faster, that's doing business more efficiently. And if you see that the insights are maybe inaccurate, that's because they're inaccurate somewhere in your documented system.
Yep. And we were on the same page, Sarah. I was going to say, like, now it used to be like ask a person on your team and they might defer you to the documentation. Now there are tools where you can say, like, when I open up Notion, I can go to Notion AI and be like, tell me about this. So it's a good thing because you can make your documentation even more detailed. Before it was like, let's make it as easy and skimmable as possible, thorough, but like something that won't make somebody like want to gouge their eyes out when they're reading. But now it's like you can actually be more detailed because AI can take that and make it more digestible for you. And also when you plug that into, say, an AI agent that's doing work with, interfacing with your customers, they can take that information. You still have to structure it in a certain way, but having that like agentic, the liaison is really key. So.
Yep. Upload it to the content portal, and that makes it difficult for techs to find what they need.
I've seen them upload.
Yeah. I think the content portal has been through many different iterations, to be honest. And then you would use task management to assign the task to them so that they could see it. I think that, you just have to be where they're at. So it depends on how you're talking to your technicians and getting that information to them faster. Mia, like alerts and stuff, like Powerhouse knows all of the alerts behind of how to get that information to you faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Stephanie asked a good question. What tools are you using to create your SOPs? I hate spending hours creating them. First and foremost, I'm going to say Powerhouse Consulting Group. No, I'm just kidding. But if you have a video recording software and you record yourself doing a process, throw that into ChatGPT. See what happens. See what it creates. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, it's like you've heard us say this, and Sarah mentioned it earlier, like you actually use AI agents to create AI agents now. There are agents to help with agents.
Yeah, there are. Yeah. And the agents work together, right? They become the swarm. And a lot of people will be like, well, that was Claudebot and all of the crazy things, and they're overwriting your data and they're doing crazy things. Well, they don't have to. And I think that's the most important part is like your agents can work together autonomously and really make your business run more efficiently. So.
Yep. 100%. I think you covered some of your stuff, Sarah, on the data side. Were there any other areas that you wanted to cover from your kind of side of things?
I just want you to remember that connected systems connect systems. And so there's fragmentation cost and tax. And when your system is not connected, and the data that you hold is the moat for AI, and it's going to serve you whatever the data says inside of your system until it learns how to correct it. Now, you don't want AI to correct all of your data. Can you imagine if you had 20 business units, 7 of them were stale and they had $0 attached to them, and then all of a sudden AI went and deleted your business units because that's what they wanted to clean the healthy data set? That would be wrong, because your business units hit your P&L, right? And so then, like, oh my gosh, like, that wouldn't be something that you would want AI to do. So you need to understand, like, what do your business units look like? A lot of people treat their data like a filing cabinet instead of actually what they're used for. So business units are the parent, they hold the money. Job types are the call intent. So if you have a lot of job types that look like services, those are services more than likely. So really structure the data that you want AI to serve it back to you. That's the biggest tip that I can give you. And if you have any questions about any of our products, reach out to your CSM or your specific pro product specialist, and they will help guide you with whatever you need, because we're here to help.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm going to launch this poll. It's kind of a nice segue into, I'm going to go to some of these questions here, but before I do, I know we've answered most of them. I think I've just interrupted myself 3 times in one sentence. So do please forgive me for that. I'm going to launch this poll. So this poll is going to give you the option to, you will probably see it on your screen now. If you're interested in learning about Hatch or ServiceTitan or Powerhouse Consulting Group, if you hit the poll, you can select 1, 2, or 3. And if you're an existing customer or user of any of these and you still have a question, maybe you want to optimize something, maybe there's just been like something nagging at you and you're like, okay, I need to reach out. You can raise your hand. We will make sure that the appropriate person reaches out to you. So I'm going to leave that poll up. I'm going to go to a few questions here that I'm seeing. Somebody asked like how to best fully like utilize Hatch. And of course, there's like a lot of different ways to do that, but I can give you a pretty helpful answer in the way that like where we see some people falling short is they're not fully utilizing all of the campaign types. So this kind of comes back to your SOPs and your customer journey is like, the customer journey exists. It exists across departments, right? Like it's not just marketing. It's not just your call center. It's not just sales. It goes across. But if you're using Hatch, you do still need to have a clear grasp on your customer journey. So the first step is like making sure you're utilizing all the campaign types. There's plenty of templates in there. Speed to lead. And then you are confirming appointment for that. Then you're like, hey, your appointment's coming up. Then estimate follow-up. Then confirming the install. Then reminding them that it's coming up, post-install, invoicing, financing, reaching back out for memberships, really utilizing all of those and using those templates is going to be a huge part of making sure you're fully utilizing Hatch. And then I will say like the AI aspect, like identifying the best, again, there's templates there for the agents, but this workflow of having the campaign go out, and then when somebody responds to the campaign, the agent is coming in. So again, it goes back to making sure your agent is optimized. We have templates, but having your SOPs documented, being clear on how you want the agent to behave, and then having the ability to monitor that agent and making sure it's doing and saying what you want it to do. And then when it's not, how do you fix it? And if you need to fix it, what do you want it to do instead? That comes back to Mia and Sarah's point where you can be like, well, what should they do in this scenario? Maybe or maybe you need to refer back to your SOP. So I think like really fully utilizing the suite of campaign types, I think is probably the best way to get the most out of Hatch.
Yeah. And understanding marketing is not marketing like we've looked at it before, right? Individual roles. The marketer's job is actually evolving into an orchestrator. So we are managing agents and changing that dynamic. And so utilizing the software means understanding the customer journey and really looking at it as to just what you said, is there's rehash and nurture throughout the entire model, the journey. And so like that's the leak.
Yes.
If you forget to send that welcome email, like that's part of the customer journey that will have a higher conversion. If you forget to send that welcome text message, like that's part of the journey that has a higher conversion. Why? Because people feel special. They don't get that. They used to not get that behavior, right? But the ones that are on ServiceTitan are very sophisticated. So you are not on pen and paper anymore. You are more automated and efficient. And Mia will teach you to get to your Titan Advisor score, because that's what's showing you how to get there. And it's the same when you're utilizing any platform. You need to adopt and utilize the journeys that we set for you, because there's the money. We're showing it to you right there.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people who their speed to lead cadence reaching out is like 20 days long, when it's actually like, yes, you do need to have follow-up within one like stage of the journey, but that ends at some point. And then that turns into a real rehash or nurture campaign where you're like, there's the happy path where like they book the appointment and they move through, but then do you have campaigns in place to fix those leaks where you're reaching out to leads that never booked, when you're reaching out to customers' estimates that never closed? And how is your verbiage in those? Are you really paying attention? Yes, we have templates, but they're also designed for you to kind of finesse them a little bit according to the way you like to talk to your customers, always going back to SOPs. All right, what else do we have here for questions? What about top of funnel lead qualification to task internal resources on the high value target customers? I have some ideas behind that. Mia or Sarah, I want to give you a chance to kind of, jump in here with your thoughts on this. I'm not entirely clear on the whole question. There seems to be a lot of questions in that one question, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
So yeah, you still end up spending time. Sorry, what question exactly do you want me to answer here?
So there's a question about like top of funnel lead qualification, and I can cover that part, but also
yeah, and I saw
tasking internal resources on the high value, target customers. I mean, I'll give you my perspective, or Sarah, it looks like you have an answer for this.
Yeah, most definitely. So we built Atlas, the AI agent inside of ServiceTitan, to have the predictions of the propensity to buy, right? And so it's going to surface within the different channels that you have, like ads. Let's just take that for example. It's based on job value predictions. It's based on likeliness of the audience that is already purchasing inside of your data. And so it's going to help you convert customers at less wasted spend because they see the high intent. And I think that's where the question was kind of going. It's like, how do you reach those customers? Well, like Atlas and AI will surface those first for you, because why would we want to go after like the not low hanging fruit that you're already kind of missing?
And then like those high touch customers, like you can always set up agents where if a customer, maybe has a certain tag or is over a certain amount of revenue or a certain job type that you want a human to take care of, you can make sure that they're like, hey, we're going to connect you with a human, and then you get an alert for that. So that's how I would handle those like high touch customers, because there are some customers in certain situations you don't want an AI agent to handle, and that's just always going to be the case no matter what. We still need a human in the loop.
Yeah, and that goes back again to your data and integrating your system. So like with Hatch, if you want to set that rule for your agent, you need to know what job types you want your agent to cover and what job types you don't want them to cover. And you don't want to have ambiguous job type names, because that happens a lot too. So like you actually have to tell the agent, this job type means they want this. This job type means they want that. So, being able to have those SOPs in place to define those, and then actually map them out. What does that look like in your data? What does that look like in ServiceTitan? Then you can decide who handles what, and then people know how to handle what, and agents know how to handle what. And then as far as like the lead qualification and high value target customers, there's another aspect of this where AI can handle that volume now and do so. Sarah talked about like actually filtering through who comes into your system and like having some predictive ability there. Once they come through, you can also have your AI agent, for example, with your Hatch AI agent, you can tell it the qualifying questions you want it to cover. The same questions that you ask over and over and over again, you don't have to have a human doing that anymore. So AI agent can be like, well, are you the property owner? Do you are residential or commercial? Blah, 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 blah. And so now you can actually qualify more leads and have your humans focus more on the people that need some of that dedicated service. They need that, more catered conversation.
Yeah. I think we're about just at time.
Yeah, this was great. I love having us together. That was great.
Yeah.
I know. We could all talk for like hours and hours, but
I feel like we should do a separate webinar on SOPs alone. That was
oh my goodness, I know. Everybody was super engaged with that.
Yeah. So, well, thank you guys so much for coming out. Sarah, Mia, it was a pleasure. Really appreciate your insights, and everybody in the chat, super engaged. Love hearing your questions, your comments. You are going to get this recording. It'll automatically send to you. We will also do a written recap, kind of like a TLDR style. Maybe you're, to Sarah's point, maybe you don't want to read it. Maybe you don't want to hear it or watch it, but you want to skim through it. And there's also going to be a one-pager attached to that just kind of sums up. It's just a clean one-pager, visual, nice with colors. Maybe you're a color person. And that'll kind of go through what we covered in this webinar today, plus some of the things that we didn't cover. So keep an eye out for that email. And if you raised your hand, we will be sure to reach out to you and get you helped out. So thank you so much, everybody, and have a good rest of your day.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.